frat house. How is everybody? It got really nice here for a couple of days and it is snowing to beat the band now. So lighting is not great, but we'll work with what we've got. I wanted to talk to you guys about continuing to plan. Last month we talked about getting started or starting over, starting with a clean slate. If you've been planning for a long time and you kind of want to revamp things, really figure out what you need. You know, my advice to people has always been just get something plain, blank, easy. Figure out what you need, write in what you need, draw in what you need. So this month, in continuing to plan, there's a couple different things we can touch on. One of those things is how to stay motivated. There are a ton of books available as far as personal productivity and motivation. A couple of my favorites have been by Stephen Covey, obviously. We all know who Stephen Covey is. And David Allen, Getting Things Done. I don't use everything, obviously, in the Getting Things Done setup. I personally don't. It's not like a corporate setting here, you know. So very, very unique ways of looking at different things as far as how to get stuff done, as far as how to organize your things in order to get things done. The idea of organizing things by context. So we have a list for, okay, if I'm at the computer, I'm gonna get this stuff done. If I'm at the store, I need to get this stuff picked up. If I'm, you know, your context, where physically are you? What can you do with that time? Now, I did use that for a while and I found that over time, the more that I can do like on my phone, I don't necessarily need to be in front of the computer to answer emails, you know, that kind of thing. So those have always been my two big suggestions, are David Allen, Getting Things Done, and pretty much anything by Stephen Covey. I just love Stephen Covey. But, you know, get online and poke around. There are a ton of productivity type, you know, organizational type books out there. Those are just my favorite two. Okay. The other thing I can tell you about keeping going is if you're still in that blank book and you're feeling like you're not sure how to lay things out so that they flow right for you as far as the system is concerned, this goes back to what I said in the last video. YouTube, Pinterest, you know, anything online like that. There is a wealth of information out there, and don't limit yourself just to the type of book you're using, okay? Because then you are really cutting yourself off to like half the information that's out there. And just because somebody's planning, say in a traveler's notebook style book, that may be where they're planning, but their process, it may not matter, you know. It really, unless you want to move your pages around, it doesn't matter what kind of book you're in. You can still use those same productive processes. This is just the vessel, okay? And what was the other thing I wanted to tell you guys? Oh, in order to stay motivated to keep using your planner, if you're doing what we talked about last month, if you're taking it everywhere with you, if you're writing everything down, you know, capturing everything, that's a big Getting Things Done from David Allen principle. You know, if you really start feeling scatterbrained and hectic and you have a ton of ideas at once, sit down and do a brain dump and just get it all out of your head and deal with it later. At least get it out of your head. That's another David Allen thing. One of the things that motivates me to keep using my planner is that I see that I'm getting my stuff done, right? If I'm spending all this time writing stuff down in here and making, you know, lists for each day or to-dos for the week or picking out steps for projects and I'm not getting any of it done, that's obviously not going to motivate me to keep looking at it, right? If I keep looking at it and I'm feeling beat down, that's not going to help. So one of the things you can do is, if you set up goals for yourself at the beginning of the year, a lot of us do that and we have a list of those goals somewhere in a book somewhere. You know, I don't carry them with me everywhere because I don't need my yearly goals with me every place I go. You know, like I told you guys, this has become this is only what I need if I leave the house. So they're not in here. But if you write down your yearly goals and if you break them down, however you break them down, let's say you break them down monthly, okay? So if you write down, and I will preface this by saying, this is something I read about a long time ago. I couldn't even tell you where the first place I ever read about this idea was. It was ages ago. Like I was in high school when I first read about this. I did recently hear someone mention that they had heard the same idea on the Minimalist podcast, and I'll link that down below. Fantastic podcast, by the way. But I guess they recently had mentioned it on their podcast too. Now, I haven't seen that. I just saw it in somebody else's video. This idea of what I personally call touchstones. I don't know if they called it that. I don't think they did in the podcast, but that's what in my head they've always been, touchstones. They're ideas that I have to return to. So every month I write down, say, 3 touchstones that will get me toward finishing those big yearly goals, okay? Maybe not. Maybe one of them is just, hey, this month I gotta get the basement cleaned out, or this month I gotta get the garage cleaned out. You know, they may not be, you know, heading towards some huge yearly goal, but if it's something you really, really wanna get done this month, let's say, if we're dividing it up by months, pick 3 of them. Put them someplace where you're gonna see them. For me, if they're a monthly goal and I leave them like on my monthly pages, I'm not gonna see them all the time. My weekly pages I look at every day because I've gotten in this process of not pre-planning every single day for the entire week. I lay out the week, and that's what I work from like the night before, okay? So on my weekly pages, somewhere, whether it's stuck on a Post-it, written in a margin, when I was in a ringed planner, a lot of times I'd put it on like a Project Life card or an index card and just pop it right in between my 2 weekly pages. In a traveler's notebook, I'll just washi it to, you know, whatever applies to that week. And I will have 3 things that I really want to get done that week that will get me toward completing those 3 monthly goals. Okay, so I pick 3 things for the month that I want to get done, and then each week I pick 3 things that will get me toward completing those 3 things I chose for the month. Maybe 3 things all pertaining to one thing. We've got a birthday party coming up this weekend for one of the boys, so a lot of cleaning this week. Just besides that, it's that time of year I start to get really antsy with the house and just climbing the walls, and I want to gut everything and get rid of everything. So a lot of it this week has been just like cleaning stuff. But as I look at those goals every week, those 3 things that I choose every week, they remind me to go back and look at the goals for the month. And if you write down at the end of the day everything you did, so either do it as the day goes on or do it at the end of the day. Maybe you're getting ready to look at tomorrow, so you stop for a second, take 5 minutes, write down everything you did today, and then really quickly look at those weekly or monthly or yearly goals, however your perspective works best for you, and say, out of everything I did today, did any of it get me any closer to accomplishing those goals? That has stuck with me since I was probably 15 years old. I need constant reminders because, especially as the family has grown, I will get caught up in the day-to-day mundane stuff that's got to be done to keep everybody's lives moving, and my stuff will just fall by the wayside. So I have to make a conscious effort. I have to keep those goals where I can see them, and I keep track of what I do during the day so that when I do look back at the end of a week or a month and go, oh, well, I got one of those things done, but the other 2 I chipped away at, but I didn't finish, I really immediately will start to beat myself up. Like, well, God, why didn't I finish that? You know, if I can go back real quick through my weekly or my daily pages and go, oh yeah, duh, you know, 2 weeks ago, 3 of the kids were sick all week, and you know, we had car trouble, or heck, this last week I've been through, I had to fix the furnace, which I fixed myself. I was very proud of that. I had to have the hot water heater replaced, had 2 of the vehicles in the garage. Like just crazy, crazy, crazy. All of that will take over. So number 1, if you're writing down what you did every day, you can look back and kind of remind yourself of where your time was going so you don't beat yourself up and mentally call yourself lazy if you honestly haven't been lazy, if you've just been swamped with the other necessary stuff. Secondly, writing down what you've done every day for me keeps me accountable. So, you know, if Liam took a nap and I sat and read for half an hour instead of working for half an hour, well, did I need that? Did I need that half an hour to kind of clear the decks mentally and get ready for people coming home and, you know, in the evening and getting supper ready and the help with the homework? And maybe I needed that half an hour. Was I sincerely just kind of being unmotivated and not wanting to, you know, sit and code or whatever while I took a nap? Totally possible. Yeah, it's possible too, but it keeps me accountable. So when you're writing down what you did every day, constantly go back to those touchstones, wherever you keep them and for whatever period of time they pertain to, and see, did what I do today get me any closer to any of these 3 goals? Okay, that's always been a biggie for me. And the last thing I will talk to you guys about real quick is bad habits, bad planning habits. And oh boy, I can be the queen of bad planning habits. And I'm gonna do a separate video on this, I think, because for March, because our idea for March is gonna be, okay, you've kind of cleared the decks and you're getting started planning. This month, February, is how do you keep going? How do you stay motivated? And then March will be tweaking your system. What happens when you're looking at your system and you're finding maybe little bits and pieces of it aren't working? Maybe you may not necessarily mean to, go back to square one like January and start clean. Maybe you do. But if you've done all that, if you've gone through and kind of swept clean your process and you have a system that works, but there are just bits and pieces that maybe don't feel right or aren't working quite the way your brain wants them to or needs them to, then how do you tweak? What are your options for tweaking? Okay, so I'm going to talk about bad planning habits in March. But as far as the kind of wrap this up for February, for staying motivated, you started with your blank book, you figured out everything you needed. As I said in the January video, use the resources that are available to you, but please don't play the comparison game. Don't do that to yourself. Nobody should play the comparison game with themselves, let alone with their freaking planner, okay? This is a tool to help you get things done. This is a vessel. And if you have, if you have time and you work better with it, if you're more productive when it's very pretty and that's what works for you, then that's fantastic, because then that gives me pretty stuff to look at online. So I appreciate it. If your brain, I've heard from several of you since that January video who've said, oh my gosh, thank you for kind of giving me permission to not have my planner be so pretty. At the end of the day, if the purpose for your planner is to help you get stuff done, then let it be that. If for you, the purpose of your planner is that it makes you happy to look at it when it's pretty, and maybe a dual purpose of it is, yes, you want to keep track of appointments and get your stuff done, then have it be that. There are so few things in life for which there aren't any rules. Guys, embrace the stuff for which there aren't any rules. It doesn't matter from one person to the next. One person isn't a better planner than the other. This is one of the few things where there are no rules, and I always used to say that about knitting. You know what? If it didn't work out, rip it out and start over. If it didn't work out, it's a design element, and leave the mistake in there. Your planner is yours. It is not anybody else's. So no comparing, okay? No comparing. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it to anybody else. All right? We're all above that, right? But there is a wealth of information out there. So watch anything you can as far as productivity. Don't worry about the vessel that it's in or what inserts it's on, unless there's something you really want and you're like, oh my gosh, that would work for me. Then by all means, get the information and go get them. Go to Filofaxy. Steve does a fantastic job, and Steve and Ray together, that's like two brilliant minds working together with inserts that are free, okay? Go look at it, and even if you're not sure what you want to use for inserts, go look for information. Print out a week or two, worth of inserts. Draw them out in that blank book. If you're using a traveler's notebook style book, go to Ray Blake's website, My Life All in One Place, and he's got a ton of traveler's notebook style inserts. I always come at this from this frugal state of mind, okay? We've got obviously a lot of kids, a lot of, money coming and going constantly. Try to be frugal with things. So, if you find inserts that you really like, draw them in that book and use them for a week and see if they're going to work for you before you, commit to purchasing those inserts or getting the paper and the ink and getting the printer going to print them yourself. Then you don't frustrate yourself with this, oh, I just printed these 2 weeks ago and yeah, they're not going to work, so now I feel like I wasted all of this. That can put a damper on your momentum, and that can put a damper on your motivation. So sometimes drawing that stuff out and kind of giving it a trial run before committing to it works. But like I said, that's my frugal brain. But if you're writing down what you're doing every day and using that touchstone idea, 3 things for whatever period of time works for you, week, month, year, whatever. And if you're looking and seeing, did anything I do today go toward accomplishing those goals? Then you do feel motivated to do it again the next day. It's a cycle. If you're constantly looking at what you did and, oh, well, I spent 2 hours playing Candy Crush, and then I spent an hour doing this, then you're holding yourself accountable, and you do start to see where maybe you can steal little bits of time and get other stuff done that does put you toward accomplishing those touchstone goals. Okay, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Next up, I think will probably be that bad planning habits and how to ditch them. That is going to be probably coming up next. And I will also give you guys a run through of what the setup is looking like right now for March, because that's almost here. I'm in 2, so I will show you guys that when it comes up. Okay, thank you so much. Holler if you have questions. You guys have a good day.